We're trying to find values for S sub 1 and S sub 4. We know S sub 2 equals 1. So I know S sub 2 is 1. So then what I did, I just let n be 1. And I'm going to plug this n equal 1 back into this equation. So you got S sub n plus 2 would be S sub 3 equals S sub 1, because we're letting n be 1, squared minus S sub 1 plus 1, which is S sub 2. What I'm trying to do is come up with an equation that's got an S sub 1 in it and an S sub 4 in it. And by trial and error, I will try those numbers in that box. Well, we know S sub 2 equals 1, so S sub 3 equals S sub 1 squared minus S sub 2 equals 1. So now let's let n equal 2. If n equals 2, I'm going to plug back into this equation here, and that's going to give me the S sub 4. So now I'm going to have an S something with an S sub 1 and an equation with S sub 4, and hopefully I'll be able to put those together. So S sub 4 will be S sub n squared, and n is 2. So that's S sub 2 squared minus S sub n plus 1, and n is 2. That's going to be S sub 3. So that's S sub 4 equals, so what is S sub 2? That's 1 minus S sub 3. So notice how this equation is S sub 3, and I can solve this equation for S sub 3, and that gives me S sub 3 equals 1 minus S sub 4. I move the S sub 3 over, then subtract the S sub 4. Now set these two pieces equal to each other, and I get 1 minus S sub 4, I'm substituting in another name for S sub 3, 1 minus S sub 4 equals S sub 1 squared minus 1. And I'm going to solve this for S sub 4, so that would be, if I move the S sub 4, the other, well, I won't, you could do all this in one step, but I'll show two. Negative S sub 4 equals S sub 1 squared minus 2. And that means S sub 4 equals, multiply 3 by negative 1, 2 minus S sub 1 squared. So now, look at your values at that box. You've got A, B, C, D. And the first column is for S sub 1. And your values are negative 12, negative 7, negative 3, negative 1. Trying to find S sub 1 and trying to find S sub 4. So first thing I did was I tried the negative 12, and I plugged the negative 12 and said, well, that's 2 minus a 144, and you don't have that value for S sub 4. And I thought, well, that S sub 1 value choosing as negative 12 is way too big. So I skipped to the bottom down there at D, and I let S sub 1 be negative 1, and that would be 2 minus 1 is 1. We don't have that value showing up. So then I went up to this one, and I said, okay, let's let S sub 1 equal negative 3. So that's going to be S sub 4 equals 2 minus a negative 3 squared. And that's going to be 2 minus 9, which is negative 7 for S sub 4. So S sub 1 needs to be a negative 3. And S sub 4 then would be a negative 7.